get nervous to like order pizza on the phone. But then if somebody like tries to back you into a corner, you turn into like a whole other animal. It's like you go from being like slightly squeamish to just like fight me, bitch. Welcome back, turkeys.
I was gonna do something where I just pretend like I'm talking, but it's your voice the whole time, but I can't. I'm not gonna keep up with it. Happy Tuesday, Kailey.
Happy Tuesday. Sorry, I keep inhaling my saliva today. If my calculations are correct, Memorial Day weekend has just passed us.
Yes.
And I feel an obligation to tell everybody happy Memorial Day weekend. And I also feel an obligation to acknowledge that it's not happy for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true.
So for people that are remembering while everyone else is burning hot dogs, I hope you had a restful Memorial Day weekend and I don't know, did something to memorialize the people that you remember on the day that everyone seems to have forgotten about.
I know, it's sad. I feel like a lot of holidays just are an excuse to be off work and get drunk, which, you know, I get it, but also like there's more than that to what's happening today.
I know. And hopefully you were off if that was the case. Yeah. You know what else I feel bad about is Labor Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's supposed to celebrate the laborers, but every laborer is working. It's so fucked up.
Agreed. It's so ironic.
Okay, moving along. If anyone that's watching this is wondering, I have pigtails in honor of a story for later. This is not my normal choice of hairstyles.
I don't know why immediately.
Did it make you uncomfortable?
I know when you said that, I immediately went to like what kind of sexual story, but I don't know why I went there in my head. I'm sorry.
Well, you're not far off.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned. This is how I run now, though, with pigtail braids because my hair's gotten so long, as we talked about last week. My ponytail sags, so I've been doing this and like going on Pippi Longstocking jogs.
I also feel like when you have your hair in a ponytail, either high or low, the weight of it after a while, like bouncing and running, kind of hurts your head a little bit. So I can see that.
Yeah, it's getting heavy. So anyway, still on my quest to find a hair person. I've messaged my mom 10 times or more asking for the name of who she saw because I constantly forget. But they don't have online booking, and the thought of sitting there and trying to talk to them and look at my schedule is really flustering me. Because I want to know, like, broad strokes, do you guys do Saturday and Sunday bookings? Do you do any nights that are late without having to sit there on the phone and make some person tell me their working hours for 7 days of the week?
Oh my gosh. I don't feel like you normally have a problem with calling. You know those memes that are like, when you're an adult, but you want to cry trying to schedule a dentist appointment or whatever? Why does that sound like you right now? I don't think you're like that.
It's not the talking to her. It's the inconvenience of the thousands of questions I'm going to have that I wish I could find online. And their salon is like a salon and boutique, and their online stuff is all just boutique information. And I don't want to buy a goddamn pair of shorts. I want you to shorten my hair.
I get you. Yeah, that's annoying.
So another quest add to the list is a pair of sandals that are good for walking in that don't look like I'm a softball player or trying to hike the Colorado mountains.
Oh my God. I'm on a quest to find some nice, comfortable, bigger work shoes for work because my feet are swelling and things are not fitting like at all. I've got like maybe 1 or 2 pairs of shoes that are not work appropriate that fit nice and comfortable. So I really need to get some new shoes for work.
I'm a big fan of shout out to Rothy's.
Tried them. I may have ordered the wrong size, but they were so tight on the top of my feet. I must have ordered the wrong size. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends on where your foot is, like, feeling bigger. Okay. Anyway, we won't make everyone listen to our shoe contemplations. But if anybody has any suggestions, then you can't wear Crocs to work. So, um, oh, I did have one follow up of myself from last week when we discussed what we would do if we were millionaires.
Oh yeah, do tell.
Black truffle, everything. Everything. We went to my favorite restaurant again last weekend, and it's the one you went to
I was
with
gonna
me.
ask.
Whew. And they make that Alfredo with their homemade pasta and then the truffle oil. I like pee myself every time.
See, with my personal chef, I will just ask them to make everything with truffle or add truffle to stuff.
Yes, and like the real truffle oil, because everyone's trying like you can buy it. It's not the fucking same if it doesn't have the little like brown flecks in it. And I don't know where they get it from, because I would probably spend $30 and just put like a little beep on shit every once in a while.
Wait, I have a question. Isn't truffle like
Yeah.
a fungus?
Yeah, it's a mushroom.
Fungus among us.
It's under the ground, and pigs go digging for it. Truffle pigs.
To eat it or to find it?
No, to find them, because apparently pigs have a better sense of smell and are smarter than dogs.
Wow. They train pigs to do that?
Spreading
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I think that they train dogs too, but I think
Yeah.
like the OG way of doing it is with pigs.
Wow, learn something new every day. That's interesting.
Yeah, they like snuffle in the ground for them.
Wow.
Anyway, okay, moving on. I want some truffle fries now. I did want to follow up with you though and ask you how pregnancy's going, because we are on the homebound stretch.
We are, and it's crazy. Well, like I just said, my feet are swelling, but it's interesting because it's just I have more blood volume in my body, so everything's just getting a little more puffy, and I unfortunately had to take my jewelry off, my wedding ring. I'm just getting a little swelly swell, but I can't complain. Everything's great. We're at 34 weeks, which actually, when this comes out, I'll be at 36 weeks, which just gave me a little bit of a heart attack. But sorry. It's just so exciting, but so crazy to think we have made a human that's about to come out of my body, and then we will take care of this little human for the rest of our lives. But I love it. I mean, like, it's interesting. So I do have one thing that I've been like evaluating the past couple weeks, because a lot of people are asking me, how do you feel? Like, do you have any symptoms? What's going on? And I'm like, everything's great. I feel like this is awesome. I have no complaints. I have a little bit of heartburn. It's not really comfortable to sleep. I have to get up and pee like 5 to 6 times a night. My shoes don't fit. I'm really, really tired, but like I'm really good. And it's funny because my cousin was actually like, she responded to me saying that, and she's like, hey, good for you for staying positive, but that actually sounds like a lot of hard stuff you're like dealing with. And I was thinking about it, and I don't know if it's like a woman thing or if it's a societal thing, but I feel like the symptoms of pregnancy are either so normalized, or we just know we have to get through it, that we downplay it a lot. Because I could say like, this is not easy. Like, I'm not living my normal non-pregnant life. Like, there's a lot of things that affect me daily. So it's just interesting when I say I'm doing great, everything's fine. But then I list all these things off. However, I will say, it is kind of a deflection of unwanted opinions from people when I'm just like, everything's fine. I am good. Thanks for asking. And also, I do want to say positive. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I just think it's ironic that I say everything's great with a list of conditional symptoms. But it really is, because I've heard so many other stories about like just way more complicated pregnancies and just the awful sicknesses and nausea. And I don't have any of that. So I really can't complain. So it's just this like weird balance of I'm great, but like I'm not comfortable.
Yeah. Maybe it's that you can complain. It's just you should complain with perspective.
Exactly. And I want to stay positive in the rest of this journey anyway, because I feel like mindset's everything. So I'm great. A little bit of heartburn, I'm okay. I'll get over it. A little bit of swelling, it'll go away after, after I give birth. So yeah, it's just funny. Those are my reflections a couple weeks ago, because yeah, several people asked me how I was doing, and they're like, that doesn't sound great. I'm like, it's fine.
Well, I mean, I guess in real life, if they're your friends, like your cousin, obviously that's different. But like, I'm sure your clients and people coming in, they know you're pregnant, so they're going to ask how it's going. Like, what are you going to say if it wasn't? Like, are you going to unload on a stranger? Like, oh, it's terrible. I almost just shit my pants. I had a weird fart. I burped up acid and I feel like my back's going to break in half. I mean, what? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get into that with people, because again, I don't want to open the door for unsolicited advice that I don't want to hear. So
That's fair. I mean, it's also vulnerable to be having a hard time.
mhm.
And I imagine that being pregnant is just a vulnerable feeling in general.
Yeah,
I don't know that I'd want to add to that on the daily.
yeah, no, that's valid. Yeah, definitely feeling vulnerable. So I just like to keep things to my chest a little bit more, I've realized with this, which is kind of nice because it's more special between like Kenny, myself, and our baby. So
Yeah. I feel like you're nesting, emotionally nesting.
I'm totally emotionally nesting, and I am starting to physically nest around the house. So I think in a couple weeks it's really gonna, start getting real, and we're gonna be in nesting mode. So I'm trying to get some social things out of the way, because I know I'm gonna excuse you, I know I'm gonna want to like be in the house, just us at the end. So
I love that. Is there anything you didn't expect since it's your first pregnancy?
honestly, when people said, there's a couple things, they said you're probably gonna get heartburn. Never had heartburn in my whole entire life, nor acid reflux. And wow, it's no joke. That was surprising to me because I've never dealt with that. And then everyone's saying you're gonna get up and pee, and it's gonna be so annoying, waking up to pee all the time in the middle of the night. I would think, yeah, it can't be that bad. But it is so inconvenient because it's hard to get comfortable, and then once you get comfortable, you're like, shit, I have to pee. And then you have to get up, and then you have to get back into being comfortable. And it's a whole process. So I think last night I got up legit like 7 times to pee. So that's been a little unexpected. But again, not the end of the world. Just didn't think. You hear the stories, but you don't think it's going to happen, or you don't know how inconvenient it is until it starts happening to you. So,
Yeah. Do you feel like anything has been harder than anything else, or what's been the hardest part?
I think the hardest part has been not feeling physically how I used to, and not being able to move around like I used to. Like being able to go for walks and work out with no problem and sleep in whatever position I want, feeling restricted in that, it makes me realize how grateful I am for my physical health, like outside of pregnancy, well, inside of pregnancy as well, but not being able to move and getting out of my car so slowly just so I don't like hurt myself or start causing like any aches or pains is very humbling. So,
That makes so much sense. I've always thought that would be the hardest part for me, like the physical changes. Because we have such a negative association with being overweight. Not that you're not overweight, but you have such a negative association with weight gain that even when it's adding size for the growth of a human and it's appropriate and it's healthy, it's got to still feel weird. Like that can't just be a switch that flips in your brain overnight.
yeah. No, it's definitely weird, like seeing yourself so different and then looking back at pictures and not realizing how far you've come. Like, oh, wow, I look very different post, pre-pregnancy versus now. But at the same time, the other cool, really, really cool thing is I feel so connected to our baby now that I'm bigger and like I can feel him move a lot. It's so special and a little bit of like a spiritual type of thing where I feel just very connected and very vulnerable. So I feel a little bit more intuitive and I don't know, I'm just coming into it and being open to all the possibilities and it's just really fun. As much as it's kind of hard and crazy and nerve-wracking, it's really, really special. So I'm trying to take it all in for the last several weeks that we have left. Because once he's on the, Earth side, it's going to be a whole other cool thing, but he's not going to be like right here with me. So I don't know.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, you and Kenny have your like home nest, the three of you, but you kind of have like secret one-on-one time.
Yeah. It's special.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see him in real life.
I know. So, shall be fun. We'll keep you updated. It is coming around the corner fast, though. So,
I know. I have an abrupt change of topic question.
I can't wait.
Do you remember the movie Teeth?
Okay, there's something that's coming back to me, and I don't think this is right, but I'm going to say it anyway. Something about a vagina having teeth. Okay.
I don't know why I thought of this, but I just randomly popped in my head one day where I was like, "Oh my god, the Teeth movie."
Oh my god, that is a so change of pace, and I love it. I don't know how we watched it or why we watched it, but I remember that.
I can still picture the scene where they're like in a cave and the guy was being aggressive and the teeth bit off his wiener and they like just cut to like just a penis in space on the floor. It is a core memory.
I forgot all about that movie, and honestly, disturbing. Really disturbing.
So disturbing. I don't know how old we were when we were watching that, but not appropriate.
Maybe high school, but that still feels wrong.
I mean, I think it had to be.
Yeah.
Because of the setting, but dude, and Jason knew what it was too. We were like on the couch, I think, just sitting there watching something, and I was like, the Teeth movie. And he's like, isn't that the thing with the vagina teeth? And I was like, yes,
oh my gosh. Wait, is that what it's called?
I think so. I thought it was called Teeth.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, if you're listening to this and you're curious, I don't recommend watching it, but if you want to, if you want to know what we're talking about.
I think it's our generation's Human Centipede.
Oh. What is that now? I forgot about that.
I did not watch that.
I feel like
just the description of it gives me like a horrid feeling in my stomach.
I don't remember what that one's about entirely, but I have a vague memory.
Yeah, I did not see it. Someone just described it to me, and just the description was haunting enough.
It is called Teeth, and it came out in 2007, for anyone wanting to know. That is god-awful.
When Jason and I got together, I hadn't seen Top Gun, but I had seen
Me
Teeth.
too. I just watched Top Gun for the first time like a year ago.
What is that?
We didn't watch movies, and when we did, they were weird or stupid ones, I feel like.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember when the first Top Gun came out, but part of me also feels like we fell in a weird age range because I feel like, I don't know, that's not true either because Jason was older. I don't know why my parents wouldn't have wanted to like watch that as a family. I want to know if anyone else fell through the Top Gun gap or if that was just us.
There was a lot of movie gaps in my life. You call in and name any movie and I tell you I probably have just watched it. I either never watched it or I've only watched it in the past 3-4 years because Kenny is making me watch movies, which I'm so glad for because I feel like I need to watch them. We just never watched movies when we were kids. We were doing other dumb shit.
I know. I'm so happy you said that because I have been shunned by so many people and they'll be like, oh, you know this movie? This person's in it. I'm like, don't know, don't fucking know. You know what else I saw late? Weekend? No. The Big Lebowski.
Don't even know what that is.
That? absolutely fuck that movie. I think you had to have watched it when it came out. My coworker wouldn't shut up about how funny it was, and on and on and on. And I watched it, and the movie ended, and I literally out loud was like, fuck that guy. This is an hour and a half to 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. And I know that's an unpopular response, but I hate it.
I don't blame you. I will not watch that movie then. I still, yet to this day, have not seen several very iconic movies. I just watched like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. I mean, maybe 2-3 years ago for the first
Okay,
time.
to be fair, I was obsessed with, I mean, those were like the movies that my parents liked that we
Yeah.
watched. There was, oh, I have one other unpopular opinion and then I'll move on. I don't like Australian accents.
Interesting.
I don't think they're attractive at all. I find them to be actually quite the opposite.
That's so interesting. I'm neutral on most accents.
I don't mind a British accent. It doesn't make me want to like, I don't have to go change my underwear, but Australian,
Not doing it for you.
not here for it. I don't know. This is like a new thing too.
Oh my god. That was a great imitation of an Australian accent, Kailey.
I loved Crocodile. No, I did love Crocodile Dundee, the movie. I loved Steve Irwin.
And did you have a problem with his accent?
Well, no, that was just how Steve Irwin talked when I was a kid, and then he was cool.
Oh, it's the separation.
It is the Crocodile Man, right? Yeah, but then as I got older, I don't know, I started hearing different people talk, and I was like, yuck. Anyway, okay.
It's so random. Wait, Crocodile Dundee is a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You see, I watched movies that were too old for me to have watched because of my parents, and then didn't watch anything from the 80s because that wasn't their thing, and then had sporadic 90s access because of growing up sheltered. Are you Googling
I'm
something?
sorry, yes, because you made it sound like Crocodile Dundee was Steve Irwin, and
Oh, no, that's not what I meant.
I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, I just corrected myself. That is not the case.
Both crocodile dudes from Australia.
Yes, he is known as the Crocodile Hunter. I'm using air quotes. Not Crocodile Dundee, though. That's so funny. I'm so ignorant
Yeah,
on some stuff.
Movie. It's all right. As we learned last week, neither of us know a damn thing about fancy French brands. I won't bring that up again.
I can't.
I'm gonna have a lot of pronunciation work to do someday if I'm rich and buying fancy brands. Anyhow, moving right along. I don't know. We've been kind of touching on this randomly, but I thought we could just spend our time chatting about how delusional we were when we were younger and our like life plans.
Well, we obviously, I don't know if we were sheltered because we didn't watch movies or we were just, I don't know what we were doing, but we had some delusional goals or thoughts about life, how life would unfold. But I feel like a lot of people do. When you're younger, you look at, 20-year-olds or 25-year-olds and, they're so old. Oh, shit. Well, now I'm about to be, I am in my 30s, and please don't say that because it makes me feel sad.
I know. I guess it's because our parents were in their 30s when we were kids. So we thought, oh my God, that's so old.
Yeah.
I don't know. But my idea of at what age I thought I should be married and at what age I should start bearing children was unbelievable.
So unrealistic. I mean, at least for us. I know some people do it, but I can't imagine now looking back going, following the path that I thought for myself.
Can you imagine?
No.
My first question is, does everybody do this? Or is it more girls?
That's a valid question.
What do boy dreams look like? I'm gonna grow up and get a big car.
Yeah, be an athlete, be a businessman. Like
Oh,
I feel
athlete.
like just success is that would be my assumption. If
Yes.
any men out there want to correct us, you can. That would be my assumption. Whereas I feel like women are more, or girls are, who am I going to marry? When am I going to have kids? What, more stuff like that.
I know. I wonder if that's a function of everyone asking you that non-fucking stop when you're a little girl.
Yeah. Which is
I
so,
can't remember a time when I wasn't handed a baby.
see, I can't remember a time I was ever handed a baby. Because I had it of, like, they knew, I don't, we talked about this last week. I don't want to, or a couple weeks ago. Yeah. But it is true. Everyone's like, oh, well, people do ask, what do you want to do when you're older? I don't fucking know. What are you going to do? How many, do you want to be a mom? I don't fucking know. Not right now. I don't even like kids. So it's just weird how people and adults and we thought we knew what we wanted, and now it's so different.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first with what I can remember of my fake projected
You
life?
go first. I want to hear it.
Okay. I want to say when I first remember mapping this out, I had to have been like 13, 14. I just know I for sure was like, okay, I'm probably gonna graduate college when I'm 21. Like, I think I had it in my head that you go to college, you meet somebody in college, and you marry the person that you met in college. And then from some unknown universe, probably like well intentioned advice from my mom, but she was like, wait 2 years when you're married to have kids. Because I think that's following the model of like you meet in college, then you get married, and then you move in together, and then you have start experiencing life together. So valid, and I understand. So I'm like, okay, so I graduate college, I'm 21, 22, and then I'm married, and then I wait 2 years. So I start having kids when I'm like 23 or 24. What? And then I'm going to have like two or three. No, I think I said I was going to have two or four because I come from a family of an odd number of children. And honestly, it worked out great for me because I always got to bring a friend to the water park to ride water slides with, and I didn't have to hang out with my family. But I just always remembered like I want there to be pairs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not like one left out. So like I'm gonna have like 2 to 4 kids, and I think I thought I wanted to be a teacher. Bruh. Ooh, and at one point I thought I wanted to be a physician. What?
Wow. I didn't know
This bitch cannot do math.
that. We have witnessed.
Holy shit, the delirium. I don't even know. I thought 30 would feel so old. And I thought it would be like cruising right into family life at 30. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm drinking a carbonated beverage.
Did you know, or did you feel like you would be in Florida, or did you have a place in mind that you thought you'd be located in?
I don't even think I considered that I would leave Wisconsin at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's how people stay in the place that they're from.
Mm-hmm.
If you put down roots, and I don't know. And oh my God. So I definitely probably assumed I would still be up there. And then like everything was delirious. The way I put on makeup was absurd. I looked like a clown. I'm sure we'll go back and find some photos like we've done before, but just like raccoon eyeliner, so thick. Mascara, like, why? I don't think I ever put on lipstick because I have small lips and I couldn't really figure it out. Oh my God, the clothes, all of it, all of it. And some of that obviously is just normal, but I think about it now. If I would have married, that's the worst part of it. If I would have married the person that I thought was appropriate for me at that age, I'd be done with my starter marriage and on to the next one. I mean, absolutely no chance whatsoever.
Oh my
I feel like a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this. The core of me still feels like the same person. I don't think I fully grew into myself and felt comfortable expressing myself until my late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the inside was always there. I just never felt, I was just like punching in the dark, trying to hit pay dirt, trying to figure out what felt right. And I think I always felt like a lonely little island. And I think I was trying to do things to like get acceptance from my friends a lot of the time, even though a lot of that was me like running around with tampons or wearing thrift store clothes. Like, I think part of me knew I kind of liked testing the boundaries and pushing the edges on some stuff. But I also think so much of me didn't know how to be vulnerable. And you don't have language for this as like a young kid, but I don't think I knew how to be vulnerable. And I always knew how to be an island and how to take care of myself. And I just never felt like people understood me. That's what it was. I felt misunderstood and lonely a lot as a kid. And I didn't really acknowledge that either until I got older. And it wasn't until like Jason and I got into our relationship further that I was like, I have been operating as a one-man band for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that like we obviously had friends and we've been friends, but I had like glimpses of letting people, like relying on people, and I can remember them because like crying in front of somebody was so rare. It's like I have core memories of the few times that I ever did as a kid in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I am so glad I had space to work that shit out through my 20s when I thought I was going to be married,
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't have wanted to work that out on kids. Like I don't know. I mean, and I don't know if we'll end up even having them, but shit, I wouldn't have wanted to work that out on Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told him that so many times, like, okay, we couldn't have met too much younger because of our age gap. But I'm so thankful we didn't meet much sooner than we did, because I had to go through a phase of like hating men for a while and getting really heavy into like feminist literature to find my voice and learn how to take up space. And then I wanted to like claim my sexuality. So I acted like a hoe for a couple of months. And then things sort of like settled back into more of like a normal middle ground. Like I did the two far swings of the pendulum. And then it was like I took a deep breath, and then that's when we met.
Mm. It's interesting. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know.
I was just thinking when you're talking, it's also I feel like when you're younger and you are in the household of your family and underneath that almost, there's only so much you can expand upon when you're in a certain environment, I feel like. So until you get to a point where you've, gone off on your own, or you're doing life experiences outside of a family unit, even if you're still around them or living with them, you're not like under their complete authority, if that makes sense. They have all this influence on you until you start learning who you are as a person and meeting other people and friends and jobs and life situations. I don't think you can really figure yourself out until you get out. That's why I'm so glad that we just ended up both moving. That was really good for me. I needed to get out of my, current environment, because that helped me expand and figure out who I was and find myself. It's the same thing with Kenny. I had to just let go of everything and just focus on myself, and then boom, that's when we met.
Mm-hmm.
So different.
I think I totally agree. And I think moving, you're totally right. Even just seeing a change in culture of a different area,
Mm-hmm.
between the Midwest and the South, or, small town. My city's not that big, but still, this area has so many military and people coming in and out. And dude, when I moved down here, I didn't know the difference between any of the military branches. I just called everyone the Army. Do you know how offensive that is to military members?
I can see that.
I had no clue. There's not even, I think there's one National Guard base in Wisconsin. I don't even I don't know. There's just so little. There's veterans up there and stuff, but it's nothing like here. I
Right.
think there's 5 bases within an hour of me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's great because I interacted like at Starbucks with so many people coming in every day from all walks of life, from all across the country, because so many people here have moved from wherever, and I met, a good friend from Arizona and a friend from South Carolina. And even that, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
living in South America was good for my brain cells too, but I'm serious. I was just totally like meeting myself for the first 5 years of my 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, never mind what I was doing in middle and high school. That was just like, I don't know,
Surviving
running around in
puberty.
a room with the lights off, trying to like feel for the light switch. And every once in a while, someone like shines a flashlight on something and you think you see something and you really have no idea what you're looking at.
No. And it's crazy because me and Kenny have talked about, like, while we're raising kids, there's a meme or a video that goes around. It's like, it's not a phase, Mom. This is who I am. Or it's like something like so dramatic. But it's crazy because I try to remember. I try so hard to hang on to those feelings as a child only so that I can try to relate to our children when they get to that stage, because it really does feel like this is everything, but it's nothing. And it's just so crazy when you're in it. You feel like you're this person, or you feel like this is what matters, and you feel like, oh my god, my prom date is this gonna change my life, stupid shit like that. I don't think we were ever super like that, but stuff that is so important is so minuscule in the big things of life when you're that age. And I don't know, it's gonna be very interesting to try to instill that into our kids while respecting that they're going through their shit, because they're gonna have to go through these phases. Oh,
Obviously, I've got friends who have kids and other social workers I know that have kids. And I love kind of the movement of trying to let kids like acknowledge their feelings and then teach them how to appropriately display them instead of just like stop crying.
mm-hmm.
Like it's not appropriate to yell at somebody. Just giving, again, like you said, you're having big feelings. I get it. This feels like a lot. It's a big deal to you. Tell me about it. I want to hear it. I want to take it seriously. I want you also to know that 10 years from now, when you look back, it's going to look like a beep on the radar. Like, feel at peace that it's not going to feel big later while acknowledging it feels big now.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it.
I think that's my whole philosophy in life, is that everything is a contradiction and it's supposed to be. Because saying all of this, I'm pretty sure that 30 years from now, like if I'm blessed enough to cross the finish line at 60, I think I'm going to look back, if I continue to grow, and be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we thought we had a few things figured out and maybe we had like half of a thing. Like, I hope I just keep growing into myself more and getting more comfortable with however it's expressed.
I think that's the beauty of aging, and it's sad that people, come down on aging so hard. Granted, it's could be sad when you think about it, but you've talked about how your family is open with talking about death and kind of joking about it because it's inevitable. I mean, we're all dying, and it's just about
It's coming for us.
yeah, just taking advantage of the years that we do have and growing, and not feeling like I don't have to be the Kayla I am today and 10 years from now. Just like I'm not the Kayla that I was 10 years ago. And I don't want to be that Kayla. Nor do I think I don't want to be this Kayla 10 years from now. Like, I want to be always progressing. Because, yeah, younger Kayla had some stupid ass thoughts as well on how my life was going to look. And I'm so glad that didn't work out.
I mean, I'm thankful for like little Kailey. I had what you were saying about like thinking everything was so big. I had big emotions, I feel like, in high school. I think I was honestly a little bit depressed. Just like a lot of like melancholy and just sloopy. I don't know. It's been very interesting. All of this is also like a culmination of me going to therapy the last year and like really making a point when I hit 30 to reflect and try to clear out some of my own baggage and make some space for myself. But I've also grown to really like be kind to my past self, if that sounds, if that makes sense. Like I did at somebody's recommendation, did like inner child healing meditations, and a lot of those are about like imagining your past self and telling yourself what you needed to hear, or like giving your past self a hug and just being like kind and gentle to the people we were back then, even though that bitch had some dumbass ideas. Like appreciating the value of that, because all of those have been stepping stones. And then I think that keeps you humble in the current moment to be like, you're going to look back later and think you're silly now. And what you said, you're allowed to change your mind and you're allowed to grow, and you should, because being rigid is probably one of the worst, in my opinion, personality traits a person can have. But I mean, probably he would have loved country music and the Republican Party. And
Is this your husband back in the day of your thoughts?
yeah, this is my imagined husband. If I married who I thought I should marry at like 14. I mean, and he could have grown. He could have grown in the same direction that I did, and seen the world and learned some things. But I don't know. That motherfucker probably would have been smothered with a pillow.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even think I can picture. So when we were younger, we like obviously talked about when we would get married and kids. It was the same way. It was right after college, you get married, wait a couple years to enjoy married life, then have kids, probably 3. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe that's the number I picked, but I knew I wanted more than one because I'm a single child and I don't love it.
I remember you wanting 3, because in my head I was like, ugh, who wants an odd number?
That's so funny that you remember that.
I know I said it to you. I remember, and I wasn't being that mean
No, I
about
know.
it, but I remember like feeling like I needed to convince you that you needed an even number, because I was so worried about the third wheel.
It's so funny because Kenny is one of 3. I grew up with my 2 cousins and we were 3, which granted that's different because we were not sisters and they would fight and I would be very like Switzerland. So it was a good dynamic for me on my side. But I at least want 3 because I don't know, I just like that. I like a bigger family feel. So that has not changed. That is still actually relevant. But we'll see what happens.
As you say this, I now realize that a trio would be cool. It's that my situation I probably didn't recognize was unique, and that they were literally twins plus 1.
Yeah, no, that's
like
different.
I was legitimately a fucking plus 1.
Yeah, 2 boy twins who, yeah, you're completely left out more so than a normal, sibling 3 relationship.
And 4.5 years apart. Yeah. I think if there were 3 of us, like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, a little bit more evenly spaced, there'd probably be the alliances would probably rotate more often. Whereas it was just like the Bromigos and Kailey as the secret overlord.
Damn.
That wasn't a secret. Okay.
Go ahead. But yeah, so what else? I just thought, I don't know, I just thought I would be old enough in my early 20s to marry somebody, which is ridiculous because
you're like, I'm going to be so adult.
Not at all. Sometimes I still question whether I'm adult enough.
I remember being like, I don't want to wait till I'm in my 30s to have kids because that would be old.
Well, I also had an obsession with Gilmore Girls. Shout out to anyone who else is a fan. And I'm not going to lie, I was very in love with Lorelai and Rory's relationship because she was so young when she had her, which cannot be easy. But once she's older enough, they had such a great relationship. They're best friends. I'm like, that's what I want to be. I want to have kids when I'm super young so that I'm not that old parent. Well, look at me now. Haha. I'm having my first child at 31, which is but you know what? I wouldn't change the timing of anything. Of meeting my husband, of when we got married, of when we got pregnant. I think it's all perfect, but it's just so different from what I thought. Because at age 31, back in my younger delusional years, I thought I'd have all my kids and we could just ride into the sunset. Um, but it's funny because as far as like career wise, do you remember when we took those like they're literal tests on what like they try to path out your career? It's the stupidest shit in the whole world. Yeah, thumbs freaking down.
Because there were like 5 careers you could be. You could be a farmer, a teacher, a doctor, an engineer, or like a stay-at-home mom.
Even I just it was so I never knew what I wanted to do. Everyone was like, "What are you going to go to college for?" When you're in middle school, why the fuck are you asking me that? What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't fucking know. I have no concrete interests in a certain career. I'm a child. And so, you know, some of the people we knew or just people in our, you know, school knew kind of what they wanted to do or they had a thought and that could have changed, but I remember every time someone asked me like, I don't know. I don't know. Even when I went to college, didn't pick a degree until I was 2 years in and basically was like, what's gonna be super vague and get me a job when I graduate. I knew I didn't want to be a teacher because my parents were teachers. I knew I didn't want to be a nurse because I don't like blood. And we already talked about how I'm not going to wipe your ass. You got to wipe your own. And I tried to do financing and that is too much for my brain. So it's just interesting because I feel like a career is such a big part of identity too. And I think it's really shitty that adults and or others try to pinpoint that on kids at such an early age because, I mean, there's a funny story that me and my cousin had this whole plan when we were younger. I don't even know if I've ever told you guys this. We were going to move to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Am I saying that
Wait,
right?
that's okay. Is part of the story that you didn't know how to pronounce the city, or do you just not know how to pronounce
I
it?
think I'm having some pregnancy brain. Minneapolis. Why is I adding another thing? Minneapolis? Okay.
Minneapolis sounded really cool.
This is just like the shoe thing from last week. Okay, everyone, I know how to pronounce it. I'm having some pregnancy brain. Minneapolis, Minnesota. We were going to move there to guess what? Guess what we wanted to be in Minneapolis?
Dancers,
Close. Actresses.
not strippers.
Actresses.
You guys wanted to be actresses in Minneapolis?
Minneapolis. I'm never going to let this down.
Were you going to be in a Fleet Farm commercial?
Bro, I don't know what we were thinking. That's how delusional we were. I don't know why it was Minneapolis that we thought. But that was like the cool so delusional.
This is incredible.
But you know what? It was so fun to talk about and we were gonna make it big in Minnesota. And it's just a stupid thing. So I know.
If ever there were an illustration of how small town our childhood was, that was it.
It's so true. I know. So at one point we were going to be actresses in Minneapolis. And then at one point I told you in college, I still didn't know what I wanted to be. I was going to move to Atlanta and become a music producer. That was a pipe dream. No. I still love music like that, but not the industry for me. It just...
Well, that's why you know what 808 is, and I thought it was an area code. This is why it's good to be friends with people that have different interests so that you learn things, or else you just live your whole little life in a bubble and it's boring as hell. And then you're ignorant.
And then don't be offended when you get presented with the correct information, like why was I saying that city like that? Oh gosh. But yeah, to break it down, basically, it took me a really long time to figure out what I wanted to do. And even after college, after getting my degree, finding myself, finding a career that made sense, that fit my skill set and not making me depressed to go to work every day, and just finding the right friends and changing or adapting to a new environment. I'm so glad I went through all of that before settling down and feeling like I had it all figured out. Because, yeah, you're right. Every time it's like, okay, 21, I've got to figure it out. 23, definitely no. I've definitely got to figure it out now. 27, I think I finally got it. And it's like, shit, every couple years I'm like, Dang it, I didn't have it figured out. I do now, and then I know it's gonna just keep going as we get older.
I know. I remember when you got your job, like in the field that you're in now, and you were kind of like, I guess I'll just do this because like you said, marketing's not, you don't like graduate and become a marketer. So,
Yeah,
I mean, you could, but it's not as
yeah,
straight of a line as like a job title you apply for on Indeed. But I remember that, and you never would have thought that that turned into the career that you've had, and then the market, the way that it turned, and just how Ben Kenny's career I
hmm
mean, it's just so crazy. I couldn't have imagined what my life turned into.
yeah. And I don't want to focus solely on my career, but it's just such a big, it's such a big piece of someone's identity. Normally, they're like, "Oh, what do you do for work?" Well, I don't love that, but it is interesting to me that I remember distinctly in college at one point, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but someone asked me and I said, "I'm going to be a businesswoman and I'm going to make a lot of fucking money," because I was getting pressed by people, and basically people were saying like, "You're not going to be successful. You're just going to whatever, whatever, whatever." I'm like, "I'm going to freaking show you. I'm going to go to school for business." That's why I went that route, cuz I wanted to prove people wrong. I'd be like, no, I'm going to be a businesswoman. Not like I'm a businesswoman now, but that idea in my head, that figure, that, you know, ideal picture of a boss lady, that's just what was in my head. Again, a little unrealistic, but hey, you know what?
I think
I like it.
I think that's what I love about you so much is that you get nervous to like order pizza on the phone, but then if somebody like tries to back you into a corner, you turn into like a whole other animal.
I know.
It's like you go from being like like slightly squeamish to just like fight me, bitch.
Isn't that crazy? I've got this
I
really
love it so
it's like a
much.
meter, and I have until a certain point, and then it is like a fine line. As soon as I get to this point, it is all hell from here on. Like, I don't know, it's this weird switch. I'm so nice, and then I'm such a bitch.
It's not even about being a bitch. It's just that you get this like
hmm
I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Like, okay. It's just like the afterburners kick in and you're just like, no, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. Fuck you. Like,
Oh.
I'll see you be insecure, not insecure, but I'll see you get like nervy
Mhm.
about some things. But then there's other things where you kind of make a decision and they're the things that matter, like big things
Mhm.
in life. Or like y'all having a kid or your career, your like I'll see you kick into like this is what I'm going to do and then it's just full throttle, no distractions, no doubt. I'm going to prove you wrong.
I think proving people wrong is a very high motivation set for me. I think it's because I grew up in such a competitive family with like games and stuff, to be honest. I have to win, and if you challenge me, I will fucking prove you wrong. Like, I don't know where I got that from, but I do actually really like that about myself. Even though it comes off kind of mean sometimes, I feel like.
It doesn't because I see because their other part of you is still there
Yeah.
and you don't hide that you get nervous and like squirmy
Yeah.
sometimes.
See, that's like the little, what you did, like your little core. That's how I was growing up, but fully enveloped in my nerviness and shyness and stuff like that. And then I finally found the pieces where, like, I can step up and say what I want to say and have opinions and stick with them and, you know, voice.
And you can still be soft
Yeah.
and like caring. It's not like you're going to go bulldoze
Right.
through everybody and just like flatten
Right.
them, but you'll also be like, you can get out of my
Mm-hmm.
way and you have 3 seconds to do so. And then after that, well, you'll be finished.
There's I would like to evaluate with a therapist my yin and yang personalities because they are very interesting.
I just think everybody has that and you have to explore it and figure out what your opposites are. But I will never stop saying there's gray area in
Yes.
everything and you can have the way to be successful in life is to hold two seemingly opposing forces in balance. I didn't make that up. Someone much smarter than me
I
did.
completely
But I
agree.
don't know who it was to regurgitate it.
Kenny and I were.
But that's why you and I have bonded so much, because I have that same thing of like kind of having a chip on my shoulder and kind of liking to freak people out and wanting to like prove them wrong or do something unexpected so you can have that like, you don't know me.
Yeah, you don't know me exactly.
I mean, the number of times that you and I have said you don't know me, and then you always do. I can't do it. You always do that. For those of people just listening, it's like this motion where you like throw your chest out like you're a bad.
You're like bucking up to somebody.
Yeah, like how you'd see like a chimpanzee do. Yeah, they like puff their chest out when they're getting ready to fight. I like just pulled something doing that.
No, it's so true. Me and Kenny were literally talking about this maybe 2 hours before we hopped on, about how it's actually cool, or it's mature. I feel like we're getting to a point where you can hold to not opposing views, but whatever you just said. It's okay to have some balance and think one way on certain situations, another way in others. Or, you know, if you're just looking at someone and you agree with one thing they say but not the other, it's not a all or nothing thing. And I think that's where society has gotten really derailed. Sorry, I'm going off on a rabbit hole. But it's like, if I agree with one thing that person particular said, that means automatically I agree with everything they say? No. This is where I say, don't put me in a box, bitch.
You don't know me.
Oh my gosh. I like where this conversation has turned, but yeah, it's so true. It's very, it just gets me riled up.
I know, me too, because I remember this. This started coming out earlier in my life, like in my childhood years. And I think you had that too, which I think is why we bonded a lot over stuff. But it's like, I can decide that I love having long hair and wearing makeup and want to be cute. And then I am also allowed to, I don't know, be able to name every car brand for shitty vehicles between the year 2000 and 2023. Nothing fancy. Like, or take an autos department class because I want to know how to change my oil and I want to know like different tools and I don't want to be a turd. And then like you and I going through a heavy Kanye West phase while doing puzzles.
I know. It's the, there's a word that I'm looking for, but I can't find it. Pregnancy brain. Where you're just so on different spectrums of who someone wants you to be, but we're doing like two opposing things at once. And I love that because it honestly makes it more fun, because I'm a nerd at heart, but I love some fucking trap music, or, you know, just stuff like that. Don't put me in a box.
I know. And I really do think when you're talking about like resiliency, that they've identified that flexibility is one of the key markers of being resilient, because it enables you to say, okay, for an example, like I was trying to like get better in cardiovascular shape because it's just never been my forte. So I've been trying to run with that Couch to 5K app. Shout out. That shit's helpful. Even though I'm stuck on week 4 for like 10 weeks. But being flexible and being able to have two opposing things at once says, I'm not happy with the cardiovascular fitness level that I have right now. But also that doesn't mean I'm a giant piece of shit. Like I can say I love myself and I appreciate myself for who I am. And because of that, I'd like better for myself. So I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to try to challenge myself and better myself and increase my, my health. And I think that happens with so many other things in life. Just to say, like, to bring this all back around. Like, I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy with the person I became. There's things in my past that I don't love, but I'm happy to thankful and happy that I had them because of where they brought me. And I can love myself now as the person that I am and be confident in who I am and have opinions and vocalize them and recognize that I don't know everything. And likely some of these things are going to change over the years.
Boom.
And it's fine.
Hammer dropped. Mic drop. What?
Hammer drop.
Period. Minneapolis.
I'm only gonna ever pronounce it that way.
It sounds fine though. It sounds wrong, but it sounds like it could work.
I mean, it
Oh my
could.
god.
Hell, the names of places up there, like Oconomowoc, Minneapolis is not out of the question. My light is too bright.
Oh my god.
And I feel really washed out. But I think we just wrapped all of it up in a nice little bow. And I like where that ended. So on that note, I don't have any listener feedback. Oh wait, I know I do. I have one piece of listener feedback that you also have some. So you start.
Yes. Okay. Mother Nancy. I'll have to ask her if I can actually post this. I think she'll be okay with it. So she has a bidet. We've talked about this because she's been trying to convince me to use it. And a couple episodes ago, we had a whole story about our bidets and my theories. So she called me and she's like, I loved your podcast talking about bidets. I was cracking up the whole time. And then she was clarifying some things for us. She was saying, definitely you just pat dry at the end. So, which makes sense because you don't want to be walking around with a wet asshole. So,
or a wet willy.
Yeah. So you pat dry. And then I asked her, I said, okay, well, depending on the way you're sitting on the toilet, has it ever gone in the wrong hole for women? And she said, not really. And then she thought about it and she said, I mean, it's happened a couple times. And that's so gross. And she's like, well, you just wipe it off. And I'm like, but that's so disruptful for my brain. And she said, it's only happened a couple times, but it has happened. So that was clarification number 2. And then she was also explaining how she's jealous that your mom has the warm thing. But apparently you have to hook it up to, the plumbing has to come from like a sink or something where it has hot and cold water. Whereas where they hooked it up to, they just plugged it in and the setup is in the toilet area. No,
my mom's has to plug in, but the warming mechanism is within the toilet seat.
Oh, I need to get with Nance on this.
Yeah, and tell her to get with Sue Magoo because it's not tied into hot water. It's heated, I'm assuming, with like coils or something. It's heated within the seat of the toilet.
Or just like your ass is heating up. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know, right? Got a hot ass. No, you have to. So for that reason, it has to be plugged into the wall.
Got it. And I think this is plugged in too. Super interesting. Okay, I'll have to tell her. But her overall. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say just tell her because if that's like, if that could be a comfort factor for them.
Well, I said, is it not freaking freezing or startling? She said, you get used to it. Oh, okay. But her overall consensus was she still loves it. She will never go back to not using it. And I said, I'm happy for you, but I will never probably.
Someday when you're a millionaire and you have your own podcast studio with your own Kayla bathroom that no one else is allowed to use, maybe you can try it out.
If I'm ever like Rick from Rick and Morty with my own toilet throne, I will use a bidet if me and only me have ever used it. I still find that slightly weird because it's still my own poop particles, but that is the only situation where I would be open to it.
So, and if you're so rich that you have fuck you money, you could poop one time and use it, never use it again.
Yes, I will go from one bidet to a new one, one time use bidet. I like that.
Maybe you bring back your old school wiping of the toilet seat and you just wipe the spout.
I don't want to stick my hand that far down in there.
I mean, you're going to clean the toilet anyway.
I know, that's true.
Not before every use, just maybe like when you clean it. So then you could poop in it once after you cleaned it.
Oh my gosh, we don't need to get a whole rabbit hole again on bidets, but that is what my mom had to say about.
That's good to know. Yeah. I wonder if it misfires for guys, if it flaps.
Sorry, if you had to see her hand movement, it was like jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Yeah, that would be stressful. Is it hard enough for it to make some movement like that?
Oh, you bring up a good point. I don't know how much like energy there has to be behind a stream or a force to make them move. It probably depends on the weight
Oh my
and the
God.
length and then the dangle.
Wait, yeah.
This is not related, but did you know that your pubic hair turns gray?
I think I've heard such things.
I mean, I learned this from a TV show where they like made a big deal out of someone found their first gray pubic hair, but I just found it weird that it never occurred to my brain that all of your hairs turned gray other than your head hairs.
Yeah, I was gonna say to your armpit hairs, but now I'm thinking of I don't know why I was trying to picture my grandpa's armpits, and they were gray. So that's
Right? It'd be weird if they were
yeah,
just
no, yeah,
like still dark brown.
so weird.
Okay, that was not
Okay,
related.
what's your follow up?
My last bit of listener feedback was also from Mother Sue. And remember last time I said that she told me I was saying a word two different ways back and
Oh,
forth?
yeah.
So I finally remembered what it was because she made fun of me again in a text message. I was saying literally and literally.
You do that.
Do you want to know why?
Yeah.
I figured it out. Because I'm watching 90 Day Fiancé and there's British people on there and they say literally.
But I feel like you've said that before you
I
started
literally
watching.
don't know what you're talking about.
Wait.
That's literally insane, darling.
Literally and literally. Interesting. I swear you did that before you started watching 90 Day Fiancé.
Okay, it's possible, but I thought that maybe that was where it
I
came
think
from.
you
Because she was
just
like, "Why are you doing this?"
I think you just like accentuating it differently depending on the circumstance or the sentence that it's being used in. Wait.
I love to play with language. That's a lot of it. I think I probably heard someone somewhere maybe before 90 Day say it, and then it just stuck with me because I love to mess around with words.
Say the two again. I like to hear you say them.
Literally. Literally. What do you say? Literally is normal, right?
Yeah. Literally, it's like, yeah, sorry, I tried to use it in a sentence how I would.
Literally.
Well, I say literally.
It feels like Minneapolis now that I'm saying it too much.
This is such a humbling experience being on a podcast where I just continue to pronounce things incorrectly. And well, you and I both last episode, but I just can't. I'm still working on not using the like word, and it's very difficult. Ugh, I'm trying, people.
It's hard for me. I say just too often, and I'm noticing myself interrupting myself in my day-to-day life now. I'm too excited. I can't even let myself finish the sentence.
It's okay though. I like the somewhat chaotic energy of how your brain works because it's a little bit of an insight to you jumping around. I do that too sometimes.
It is chaotic. Speaking of humbling, here again, I'm proud of what we're doing, and I think we're doing a good job, and we're learning things along the way. And I'm also learning a lot of things about myself I didn't love to see. And it has been a real test in saying no one's perfect. It's okay that you have a double chin. Like I didn't know that how easy it was for me to do that. Bro, I caught a side profile of myself, and I was like, it's like a little floopy underneath my chin. I didn't want to know that. This is why you shouldn't be on a camera all the time.
I know, especially watching yourself talk in a camera, you start getting in your head. Yeah.
It's rough. Editing is difficult sometimes.
Humbling is the right word for sure.
I know. So someday when we're millionaires, I'm gonna go back and watch episode 1, and it'll plant my feet right back in the dirt.
I like it. Oof.
All right. Well, I have to go pee, and you've been sitting in one position for a long time, which I know is uncomfortable for you. So until next week, I will see you next Tuesday.
To the turkeys, don't put yourself in a turkey box. You're free range.
Our free range turkeys. Someday we're going to get shirts that say free range turkey. That is going to be our flagship merch. I forgot my pigtail story.
Oh, go for it.
Oh shit. I'm sorry, everybody. You thought you were done. You're not. Buckle up. It's not that great. But speaking of things in middle school and like being in your high school years and not knowing anything, I remember being hugged and then realizing later as an adult, it was because my tits grew in before everybody else's, and I wasn't friends with all the guys. They just wanted to squeeze boobs against their chest. So that was horrifying, a horrifying realization of early puberty. Next, I remember one time I wore pigtails to school in middle school, and the same pervert that asked me if I'd gotten my period yet told me that pigtails make great handlebars, and I had to go ask somebody else because I was so sheltered what that meant.
I remember that story now.
What the fuck, man?
Mm.
And it's probably way worse for kids now. So I'm thankful that I was as sheltered as I was. But yeah, in honor of middle school awkwardness and doing things that we didn't know, I wore pigtails today.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Handlebars, man, it's awful.
I know. I should have also appreciated that my boobs were bigger than everybody's back then, because now they show ain't. I just sprouted them early, and then everyone else caught up, surpassed.
It's okay.
It's fine. I love my body.
Yes, mine didn't, so we're good, Kailey. I love it.
It's true. I'm married now, so I can wear a push-up bra all I want. It's not false advertising because he already knows.
Oh,
and on that note,
go run free, you turkeys. Oh, that's all I was gonna say.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.